Greetings and God bless. So I'm listening to this book about Cretan history, the history of Greece, and how they became overpopulated and they lost the ability to know how to read and write for like hundreds of years. And I think that's what's being planned here in America and the West and probably the world is get everybody hooked on video on their devices. And, there's so many ways to ruin basic knowledge now because people have gotten rid of their books. They don't have hard copies of books. And if you do an EMP and zap everybody's devices, there won't be anything. And like so many libraries have gotten rid of their audiobooks and, they purge their classics. And now with this whole woke agenda, everything is this, WHO, uh, United Nations, uh, like BLM, Antifa kind of stuff, like the new books. It's all this new narrative, this new agenda that's being pushed. If you look at what's at the bulletin board, if you look at what's being featured at the library, anything that's traditional, patriotic, and history is like in the far back corner where nobody goes. Like at the local library here, there was just like this local history thing. It was a table that was in the back where there's no books, like all these empty shelves, and like meeting rooms nobody was using at the top floor. That's what this local library was doing. And anyways, and the fact is that cultures that had like a high tech writing culture and architecture and civilization and commerce and math and all that stuff, it is possible to lose your ability to read and write. And I think if there's any uh, time or group, it would definitely be Americans for sure. And not to mention all the psychological warfare and the frequency level warfare and the poisoning of our food, air, and water warfare that's being done on ordinary people. So I really do think, it's important to learn history, and there's no excuse nowadays because there's so much stuff on the internet, and I don't believe everything on YouTube, and not everything on YouTube or on the internet is really high caliber information, but there's very good sources that you can stream from legitimate sources. And I'm not going to say because uh, like the Big Brother doesn't want us to access our history. Big Brother does its best um to like delude us, to deceive us. And I don't want to give Big Brother an easy route. Like nowadays, I'm like, I'm not gonna say like what I would recommend or whatever, unless it's very established or easily accessible and not easily scrubbed. Because number one, very few people, probably no one, is going to listen to my suggestion. And then I'm making it easier. I don't know if it's some deep state employee that scrubs stuff or if it's AI. But because the internet can be scrubbed, and you have to kind of be like some high level somebody to figure out, or not high level, but you have to know how to find things that's been scrubbed, if at all. Something I notice is people who have done helping people recover from satanic ritual abuse. Those websites, like after the person has passed away or whatever, those websites either become a porn site or they actually become a look-alike site that's actually run by Satanists or these cults. Where somebody's trying to, like, they've developed a website to help people get out of a cult, that then a cult takes it over or whatever. So, like Scientology did that with one of these cult recovery websites. So you can't even really believe everything you see, and because of that cliche that the victors write history. So just because it looks like a good website, just because that website's been there, or just because we've been told things, this is the way things are, it's not the way it is. I mean, just, like the left in the 90s, the left was like, oh, this woman was the real author of this male author's books, and, it's just sexism or whatever. And, you do find that there's different influences. Of course, nowadays, if you really go into it, the what we were told was a woman was actually a man, and what we're told was a man is actually a woman. Um, but the point is that there, the the establishment, those who are pushing this mainstream narrative, they're they're just telling you what they want you to hear, what they want you to believe, but that's not necessarily the truth. And we're seeing this in so many levels in terms of science or sociology or health practices or architecture or whatever. I mean, there's just everything is really quite questionable. Uh, so, anyways, I just think it's it's important for us to be concerned that humanity's on its way to becoming illiterate. I mean, you know, that's actually probably not the biggest issue, because there's so many assaults that people are subjected to with the food, air, water, cell phone frequencies, psychological warfare with the news. And it's really amazing how people are still functioning and flourishing and thriving, and, you know, building barns and traveling all over the world and raising children. And it's like, is everybody on like cocaine or something like that? Because I just don't know how people do it. But I guess when I was younger and when I was healthier, I was just I wasn't I was on the carousel. I never got off the carousel, and I never looked at the world that deeply. And so now I do look at the world much more deeply, and that comes with being older, and that does, I think, come with chronic illness, or being disabled. Because you do notice that children who are injured, like they're disabled or whatever, they seem to have a lot of wisdom. And I think when you're not on you can't get in on the carousel, so you just have more time to think, and more time to perhaps build character or learn about values. Because when you're disabled, when you're at a disadvantage, you experience more unpleasantness, because people are at their worst with around vulnerable people. uh, Sometimes people are nice, but I would say, especially now, it's December 2023, it's the last day, I guess, of the year. But um, it seems like bullying, narcissism is the preferred behavior of people. I mean, if you're politically correct bullying, uh, and it's pretty despicable. It's insane. It's truly insane. And certain people, the progressive white liberals, they think they have an advantage. They think they're protected by their virtue signaling, and they won't. They won't be for long, if they are at all. Um, right this moment. And but yeah, people, and it's a cult. It's a cult of this self-loathing, of this like progressive liberal leftist self-loathing, and thinking that, you know, other people shouldn't drive a car, other people shouldn't have children, Other people shouldn't fly across the country to visit their family or travel the world. But they believe they deserve to be able to do those things that are supposedly a huge carbon footprint. But they do it, and yet they demonize other people that they don't know or that they do know that happen to be like a Republican or conservative or Christian that dares to have children or have a car or travel or whatever, buy conspicuously or whatever. And I guess, we are all entitled to our little neuroses. And I don't begrudge anybody any self imposed limitation. But what I do begrudge and what I just have a hard time getting over are these like government instituted or workplace instituted, like culturally instituted discrimination against women, like that men get to appropriate womanhood and go into the bathroom, the women's bathroom, the girls' bathroom, and like molest and attack and assault women in prisons and stuff like that. And this kind of thing, like women, this is an issue. What I recently discovered that this is actually even more of an issue of men being assaulted in prisons and raped in prisons. Like it's almost double the amount of rapes that happen in prison is in men and male prisons. And I think like this is, it's such a taboo kind of a thing. And maybe, I don't know, maybe the gay male community likes this and or maybe it's just, I don't know. But the fact, we're brought up, we're socialized, it's women who are vulnerable, but if double the amount, almost double is what men are experiencing in prison, like double the rapes, like isn't that, doesn't that matter? Like shouldn't that be talked about? Isn't that like horrific? So, but my point is that like there's this institutionalized destruction and hatred and brainwashing that's going on where whites are just automatically assumed to be evil, and so then the liberals are like they think they're going to virtue signal themselves out of this reverse racism or whatever bigotry this is, but they're not going to like like a person of color who hates white people, they hate white people. It doesn't matter if you're a liberal person that's putting them on a pedestal or whatever. Like once they're done using you, they want you dead too, Like there's some sort of, I don't know. I don't understand the mentality behind it. And I don't understand my peers doing it as well. But yeah, this enforced situation is definitely troubling. So what do you guys think? Thanks for watching. God bless.